What to do on a Friday night. It's 8:30. I'm at home, on my own, doing absolutely nothing, am I? Maybe I should go to the cinema, pub. I haven't got any friends. Can't go on my own, can I? That'd be a bit embarrassing. Do you know what? Might just go for a walk. Got my spray. I'll be absolutely fine. Hang on a minute. Maybe we should play a little game. So yes, good evening. It really is Friday night. I really do not have any friends. I have a few, I promise, but I don't really meet up with them very often. And I am going to go for a walk, and I'm going to do something slightly different today. So yeah, I always go for a walk every night. Normally I go with my brother. My mum's sometimes around. Maybe she's there, I would. But they're all at a concert tonight, and I didn't want to go. I was at work anyway. And I just thought, you know what? I'd rather just be at home. So it's very, very rare I have the house to myself. And I'm going to go out for a walk and do a bit of a game. So the game I have in mind, I was lying in bed the other night and I thought, I want to do something a little bit different. So of course, it's been a little while since I've used ChatGPT. I like to use ChatGPT more than I probably should. And I thought I'd get their advice for something. So typical Friday night, a lot of people might be going out. They might be going to the cinema, they might be going to the pub, they might be doing all these sorts of things. And I sort of thought, well, they all cost money, don't they? Let's be honest, a lot of these things aren't cheap. If you enjoy it, it's great. It's great value for money. For me, it'd be a massive waste of time because I can't sit still for 5 minutes. Hence why I do fitness fragrance reviews. But tonight, I'm going to basically ask ChatGPT to find the average price of those things. So the average price of a cinema ticket, essentially. I'm going to get them to do all the work because it's 8:30. It's too late for me to think too much. And I want them to kind of recommend a fragrance. So let's say you like the cinema, but actually don't want to go tonight. What fragrance could you buy for that price range, that ticket essentially, rather than going to the cinema? And then you can decide which one you think is better value for money. For me, I know for a fact I'm always going to choose a fragrance over any social occasion, anything fun, because I'm not that sort of fun person. I'm old, I'm boring, and I think I need ChatGPT to kind of give me the option of what I could actually buy instead of doing those things. So I hope that makes sense. Essentially, I'm going to go out now, get my clothes or get my coat on essentially, and we'll go through their options. It'd be interesting to see what they come up with, and hopefully I can sort of give you a bit of an insight on those fragrances as well if I know them essentially. But yeah, we'll head out and I'll see you out there. It's looking quite dark now. And we are off. I definitely think I'm going to need my head torch on this walk so you'll be able to see me. But I've given ChatGPT all the information so you would have seen what I've asked them. And yeah, the first thing they actually came up with, the standard thing they said people do on a Friday night, is go to the cinema. And the price they said that roughly you can get for going to a cinema, or a ticket for the cinema, is around £15 to £18, maybe £20 if you buy some snacks along the way. And the fragrance they recommended was a Calvin Klein one. So it's Into You to Him. Now, my experience of this one, my brother bought this a number of years ago. And I'll be honest with you, it was one of those, bought it and never got it again. I looked at some of the notes in this. It's some interesting ones. They've got like a tomato leaf, they've got cacao pod, but then you've got kind of those more generic notes. You've got a bit of lemon in there, vetiver, cedar, and essentially once you put it all together, you put it in the wash, blend it all together, it kind of came out as a generic masculine scent, a scent you've smelled many times before. Again, for those of you that are really into your fragrances, you're probably going to be a bit bored by this one because it doesn't do anything that breaks the mold. But again, you're talking £15 to £18 here for a pretty versatile scent that you can use all the time. I think one of the main issues I remember my brother having with this was it was a kind of, in a nice possible way, it just didn't last, and it was one of those that you almost, after a while, you go, actually doesn't smell of anything. And I think it was just more the projection and the longevity of it was poor, rather than it just not smelling of anything at all. Again, it's very pleasant. There's nothing too daring about this. £15 to £18 is exactly what I want to pay. I wouldn't want to pay any more for it in particular. But I'll be honest with you here, and I'm not someone who goes to the cinema very often or watches many films. I think I'd rather go to the cinema here and watch a film, something that I'd want to see, over this fragrance. It's not one I'm particularly planning to buy anytime soon, but maybe that's just me. Let me know if you've had that fragrance, and maybe I should give it another go at some point, add it to my collection. But I have to say, there's plenty more at the moment, and plenty more that I'm sure will come out over the course of 2026 that I'd rather try over this one. So yeah, let's go on to the next occasion of something you might do on a Friday night. honestly, it's only been about 10 minutes since I filmed my cinema clip, and look how much darker it's already got. But another thing, another occasion you might do, potentially if you're an older person, maybe you're a bit of a social animal, maybe at university, is you may go to the pub. I haven't been to the pub for years. I used to go to pubs all the time though, actually, when I used to play a lot of darts, because that was where, of course, all the competitions, all the tournaments were at. Now, I think ChatGPT underestimates here how much money people might spend at the pub, but the rough price they've said, if you're having sort of 2 to 3 pints, is around £15 to £22. I honestly can say I think I spent £80 once around my birthday at a pub night with friends. But what did they recommend? What was the fragrance they said you could get instead? Now, I'll be honest with you, I have never ever looked at fragrances from this brand. Now, I always think Adidas, they're known for their fragrances like Adidas Deep Dive or Splash or along those lines. But Nike do fragrances as well, and this one is just Nightman Blue. And I've never heard of it before, I'll be honest with you. It looks like it's retailing around that £15 range again. What was quite interesting with this is obviously when you see Nightman Blue, you're going to be thinking a typical blue fragrance, but actually there's a lot more going on about it. And if you look on Fragrantia, the actual top note on this, or top of call that people detect, is vanilla. And you've got some interesting bits in there. You've got a bit of carrot in there, and yeah, a bit of iris as well, which gives that soapy vibe. And it looks like it's got a lot of versatility. There's a bit of sweetness, a bit of fruitiness, and yeah, just an all-round scent. So it doesn't seem like it's a real just boring, clean brew fragrance. I'm sure it's probably not the most natural, probably not the most high quality, but it's a little bit different to what I was expecting. I was purely just expecting something that was basically a knockoff of a Dior Sauvage, but there's a little bit more to it. So what would I go for here? Would I go for this over going to the pub? I think I would, and this is a fragrance I'm very tempted to try. Now, it came out in 2017, and it doesn't look like there's a huge amount of this fragrance still left. But you can get it on a couple of websites. You never know, maybe eBay may be a good place to have a look. Let me know if you've tried this one, because if you have, yeah, I want you to let me know if it is really sweet, if that vanilla does add a bit. The one sort of season they say is probably not best for is the summer, but transition seasons, it looks like it's quite a popular one. So yeah, Nightman Blue. It's time to turn my head torch on, I think. So the head torch is on. I will do my best not to blind you with it as well. So I've got it slightly higher on my head. Now, of course, what am I doing right at the minute? I'm going for a walk, but I've actually been out for a run as well, so I managed to do 8 miles. But of course, you can't do proper walking or proper running, all the running I do, without a decent pair of trainers. Now, the standard price they're saying is around £60, and I do like going for a little run Friday night, especially if you have the weekend off. I work weekends, but I used to love running Friday evening with the lack of stress ahead with the weekend. But around £60, they've recommended a fragrance that I was not expecting them to, but it's one I know very well, very, very well, and it's the original Terre d'Hermès. Now, this fragrance was very much one that took a little bit of time to grow on me. I remember when I first smelled it, my dad actually had it, and I thought, that don't smell right, it smells off, because it's this earthy orange smell. It's very naturalistic, but to me it almost smelled like an orange that's kind of gone off, essentially gone, you know, mouldy, that you'd want to throw it in the bin. But over time, the more I bought it because I found it for a good price, and I just remember people complimenting me on it straight away, you know, asking what it is, saying where can I buy it, and you know, looking in shops and telling me, giving me updates, saying, oh, I've managed to find that fragrance. And for some reason it's just become part of me since. My opinion essentially has changed because of the compliments, but I can safely say I do love it now myself, and it's brilliant. If you like those earthy orange type scents with a bit of a pepperiness, I think there's a bit of flint in this one as well. I think it came out in 2006, so 20 years, and it's still going strong. There's plenty of clones of this one. You can get a clone on the Essence Vault with this, and yeah, it is an absolute classic. It's an iconic scent, and I think for £70, £60, £70, it's very good. Now, would I get it over a pair of trainers for that Friday night run that I enjoyed tonight? Probably not. Look, I really, really like the original, but my trainers, which I'm wearing now, I wouldn't be able to do my reviews like I am without them. But of course, fragrances never run out. And I have to say, if you're someone who really likes Terre d'Hermès, I actually think the Ogivre, the flanker, is really, really good as well. It's really nice. It smells a little bit like a tomato greenhouse to me, but it's a little bit lighter, a little bit more suited to the summer. but they're both amazing for versatility. If you want versatility kings, you could just own these fragrances and they'll tick all those boxes. So what else might we be doing on a Friday night? Let's ask ChatGPT what's next. Now, something I've obviously noticed when it gets to Friday, obviously when I'm driving home from work, is how much more traffic there is. There is loads of traffic everywhere. And that's because people tend to be travelling on holiday, whether that's a little weekend trip camping or, going to a Premier Inn somewhere or, trip to London. Loads of people go away just for those few nights to get away from home, get away from reality, especially with this weather warming up. Now, looking again, I think the prices here, ChatGPT, have underestimated actually how much a weekend trip can be, particularly in peak seasons. But they've kind of said a standard price is around £120 to £180. I suppose £90 a night doesn't sound too bad overall. Maybe that is about right in the off-peak season. And the fragrance they've recommended here, they did actually recommend a few. They recommended Bleu de Chanel. That's a bit boring though. But the one I sort of piqued my attention was Maison Margiela by the Fireplace. Now this is a fragrance, again, I have smelt a few of these replica ones from Maison Margiela. A few of them I really like, but I can't tell you which ones they were. I think they have a matcha drink one. That one smelled quite nice, but again, haven't smelled it long enough to be able to recommend it. And to be honest, By the Fireplace was easily their most popular line. Now again, it almost sounds like it's going to be really, really smoky, but it wasn't actually that smoky at all. And the main note that really appealed to me in it is chestnut. Chestnut's kind of that, again, it does feel like you're sitting by the fireplace roasting marshmallows, chestnuts, that really nice smell. But there's a bit of vanilla in this, there's actually a bit of pink pepper, there's a bit of orange blossom. It isn't actually as heavy and smoky a fragrance as it sounds like it might be, and that to me makes it more wearable. It's a very wearable scent, but it didn't particularly wow me. Again, I think there's so many fragrances that have copied this one. Noted Aromas have done a clone of this, but it's probably lost a bit of its identity because there's been so many things that have copied it. But very good scent. Would I have that over a weekend away? Again, no, I wouldn't. Maybe I enjoy these things you do more on a Friday night anyway, but yeah, look, it's a good scent. I think if I'm thinking of £180 type fragrances, you can get some very good Tom Fords. Noir Extreme, you can probably have 150, 164. Personally, I'd probably rather have that than a weekend trip away if it was, unless it was my dream place, which is too far away anyway to go for a weekend. I probably would rather do that than camping anyway. But yeah, I'd probably pick a vacation over ChatGPT's recommendation here. But yeah, I wouldn't turn down either, to be honest with you. Maybe I could take that fragrance on the holiday as a scent memory. But yeah, let's go on to the next one. So not only is the light giving up on me here, my head torches as well. Look, I've literally moved it straight down and it's certainly not blinding you at all now. So I think it's probably time to do the last one rather than just hear a talking light at the minute. So the fifth one, I think probably the main thing people would probably do on a Friday night is go out for a meal, whether that's to celebrate, with work colleagues, whether that's just a date night essentially with your partner, or just meeting up with friends. It's always nice to go out for a little meal on a Friday night. The local curry house is always popular. It's lovely. You can smell it almost from down the road. Now, the standard price, again, if there's two of you, maybe so. If you're not picky eaters, I'm a massive, massive eater. And the sort of price range they're saying here is around sort of £60 to £80 for a meal. ChatGPT has no idea about the cost of living crisis going on at the minute and inflation. But anyway, so the fragrance they've mainly recommended here, and it's actually one that I've not smelt, but I'm sure the DNA of this scent is so familiar to many people, you'll probably recognise it, and I'm sure it would be very familiar to me. But it's a Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Male Le Parfum, so it's a slightly more intense version, I think, of the original. And the main thing that people talk about with this is like a spicy sweetness, which again is perfect for maybe dressing up on those occasions. I'm not a massive fan of spice in fragrances, but I do like that vanilla that, is so synonymous with this scent DNA from the Le Male line in general. Again, it's one of those, I've had clones of the original Le Male. I do think it's one that seems to be phasing out at the moment, a little bit like 1 Million. People are moving away from those types of scents and they're almost going more to just versatility. This one feels like it's one more suited to a night out. But I do absolutely love the bottles. I love the Le Male bottles. They're very familiar and that they're still going to be around. Certainly the original's still going to be around many years to come. Would I rather go to a restaurant or have this fragrance? Well, with my 30th birthday coming up, which I keep mentioning, I don't know. I'm gonna go for the fragrance on this occasion for one main reason. Look, I absolutely, like going out with family for a meal, because we don't do it very often, to be honest with you, so it is a bit of a treat. But I always want to wear a good scent with it. So if it was a case of going to a restaurant without wearing a scent, I probably wouldn't go. For me, that's the only time I ever dress up. That's the only time I really, really fancy those real statement scents. So I think I'd buy that fragrance for this occasion, because look, sometimes you just never know if you got work still or something like that. You want that thing in reserve, and I think I'd rather that than go and spend £80 just for some fancy food. I mean, my dinner tonight was a tin of sardines and eggs. Yes, hard-boiled eggs and sardines and a bit of cucumber in a flatbread. Don't knock it until you've tried it. But yeah. I think I'll go for the fragrance on this one. So that is it for today, or for tonight, I should say. Anyway, my head torch is completely gone. Look at it, it's going to be off by the time I finish this clip. But yeah, let me know what you think of the sort of fragrances they've recommended. I mean, for me, if I'm having a night out scent, I'd definitely go Nasonato Baronda, lovely caramel whiskey scent. If I want a bit more of that versatility, probably Colonia Essenza by Acqua di Parma. I think it's just an amazing fragrance if you love Neroli. And then if I'm going for a real cheapie, Milton Lloyd's Success, I always go back to it. It's a really nice sort of lemonade smell. It's only a 55ml bottle. It's like a mist essentially, but it smells so good, and it just reminds you of the holidays, reminds you of the summer, and it is a top scent that nobody is ever really talking about. So I do recommend that one. But I also want to know as well, what do you enjoy doing on a Friday night? And would you rather pick or buy a fragrance for the same price over the occasion, the event that they've recommended that you might do on those nights, like going to the cinema? For me, I'm probably more likely to buy fragrances, but it is sometimes nice to do those treats at the end of a hard week. But yeah, thank you very much for watching today. I'm sorry you can't see me very well now, but yeah, I hope you've learned any awesome things from this, giving you some ideas of fragrances, and yeah, I look forward to hearing your comments as well. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.